And when we talk about resiliency, oftentimes people think of it that there has to be some kind of setback to move forward. There's two sides to resiliency, and I feel oftentimes the other side is overlooked and I think more important.
This is Shadow Me Next with Dr. Shayna Clancy.
Yeah, so just like you who happen to find me and then, research a little bit on personal story, there's people that are drawn to that. Like, how did you get there? How did you come out of it? Like those kind of things. And I would say also that ripples. Like there's been Fortune 500 companies I've spoke at that focus on safety a lot. And so they would want, personal background stories for their drivers or for anybody that's in quality. And then when it comes to other services in general, like consulting, crisis intervention, trauma-informed care, mental health, addiction. So I ended up going to get certified as a certified addiction registered nurse, advanced practice, and then a global fellow of the International Academy of Addiction Nursing. So the expertise spans not only the backyard, but globally. And that's oftentimes where people are looking because people are struggling and everybody thinks addiction is like pills or alcohol or opiates. Addiction is anything that we consume in excess. Shopping, exercising,
social media,
leadership, anything. People can be addicted to anything that's taking away from their purpose or what they really should be focusing on.
It's incredible. I feel very convicted right now. I mean, it's an important conversation. You mentioned a couple of things that I would like to just briefly ask you about, because I think that a lot of people have heard about this, but might not know a lot about it. You serve as an expert witness in some cases. Is that something people want to do, or is that something that you feel drawn to, and it's almost like a pride of profession sort of thing? Tell us a little bit more about being an expert witness.
So for me, it's something that I always wanted to do, especially after doing the forensic nursing degree, because that really does elevate your expertise. But I also wanted to be able to serve in a capacity that would be neutral. A lot of the experts that people bring in, they may be one-sided or the other, but what they're really looking at is, can somebody look at this situation from a neutral perspective, just bringing their expertise to the table? And I think that it's very fascinating to be part of that process, but also just chart reviews. So that's an expertise as well, where, maybe there's a death investigation case or a suicide. Like I've done so many chart reviews for possible suicides, and you're like looking back at how did that person get there? Was there anything missed? Just a whole realm of just looking at chart reviews and helping attorneys with that medical jargon. Unless you're an attorney that has done med school, which there's quite a few of them,
Yes, there are.
they might need to seek some assistance out in what does this terminology mean.
Is that something that you do pretty frequent? I guess it probably depends on your field of medicine. It depends on your interests, but is it something that you do quite often, or is this very random, irregular, every so often type of work?
Yeah, it's regularly irregular. I think that makes sense. There's like more pockets that will come up than others. It just really depends on the need of the legal system in that case. Like
very cool.
Currently, I have somebody who sought me out from a different state to kind of take on a very broad aspect of the state when it comes to different ways that things are managed within like foster care and the mental health aspects. And it's just interesting things that kind of just fall into my career path. And a lot of it has to do with just being open-minded, willing, and coachable.
Incredible. Which coachable, my goodness, you have created this incredible gift to people, all people, but really pre-health students, are pre-med, pre-nursing, pre-PA, pre-physical therapy, the list goes on, will really, really benefit from this. And that's the Mountaineering Handbook. And I'm going to read a little excerpt about this book from your website, but it says it's a handbook for anyone looking to hone their leadership skills or triumph over adversity. And it blends mountain stories with leadership lessons so you can navigate transitions and setbacks. We like to think we're never going to have setbacks, right? We really like to believe that it's always going to be a steady pace, no 2 steps forward, 1 step back, none of that. But we know that happens. Tell us a little bit about what this program means to you and who this handbook is for.
So I am so excited. Here's the book. I'll show you. It's kind of crooked. Yes, I just like the colors. It's very inviting and just meant a lot, resonated with me personally, but it's really for anybody. And you had asked me several questions, right? How did I get here? What made me think this? Resilience. We talk about all these that we've talked about so far, and I'm sure there's so much more. This was really a download that I like to call how I was harnessing all of the gifts that I've been given into one guide, one separated, differentiated program. I researched diligently. There's nothing out there like this. And I am a trained mountaineer. So I had to put it together. And it really just hit me one day where I'm like, you know what? Every single aspect of life happens on an ascent and a descent. And it doesn't even have to be a physical mountain. It can just be that mental mountain.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So for the handbook, is it something that we read? Is it something that that is a reflective exercise? What can we expect to see when we open up those pages?
So this is a book. This one is a book, right? And so Amazing. It has a lot of like the foundations. Like I talk about base camp and what tools do you need at base as opposed to different sets or different parts of the mountain. But it's all tied back to leadership, mindset, doubts, conquering negative, insights, thoughts. The guide itself that will be dropping here shortly as well, because there's 2 different ones. This will be more like a workbook, I should say. So this will be the guide and then a workbook to coincide with it. And that will be more of the footwork. The current one has some reflective prompts, but the other one is going to be what the wraparound is for both sides of it.
And you might just pick up a newfound hobby in the middle of reading all of this, and that's mountaineering. How cool is that? How important are our hobbies right now? I mean, you working in medicine, you do incredible things. You literally have your hands in so many different arenas, and yet you still make time and save space for some of these things that just, I would imagine, bring you a lot of joy. How important are these things for us as clinicians, especially?
Oh, clinicians and students, because who we surround ourselves with is who we are. And so if we want to elevate ourselves and learn, you can't unless you reach out and you ask. Nobody's going to know that you want to shadow in a specific area of a field, in a niche, unless you ask. And there's no better time to ask than when you're a student. Everybody wants to help a student because they're like, oh, they really want to learn. They're very interested in this, instead of like being voluntold, hey, this is the unit you're going to. And the person's like, oh, I got wet feet. Cardiology is not my field. And so it's very important, because even the hobbies, you never know where that will go. I didn't get into mountaineering initially. I met cyclers. I was into cycling, and it turns out that the people that I'd met were also like very highly trained mountaineers, like have done the Swiss Alps and by themselves. And so it's about mentorship, just being willing to try new things. And it's very important because it's also self-care.
Which is huge, absolutely huge right now. So her book is available on ShaynaClancy.com. That's ShaynaClancy.com. I'll link it in the show notes below. Before we wrap up, we've mentioned resiliency a lot, and I think it's a term that students hear all the time, and we throw around as clinicians and as if we're interviewing and as mentors all the time. And a student would say, Ash, how am I supposed to develop resiliency? Do I have to put myself in really, really hard situations in order to develop that skill? And And I would love to hear your opinions on this because hopefully the answer is not necessarily.
That is the answer. But a hard situation, what does that look like? It looks different for everybody. So maybe it is literally trying to figure out how to get into school. That's a hard, challenging setback, right? It can be something as simple as, hey, I need to figure out how to do my checking account because nobody taught me that in high school.
True.
And that's a setback, right? So you've overcome that. It can be anything, whatever is important to you might be different from somebody else. And when we talk about resiliency, oftentimes people think of it that there has to be some kind of setback to move forward. There's two sides to resiliency, and I feel oftentimes the other side is overlooked and I think more important. So it is actually taking that time to reset regardless where we are in our careers or school or life, is to just take that time, that reprieve, set back time to be able to unplug, evaluate where we are, and then get our head back in the game to continue where we're headed.
That's perfect. You're right. It's very overlooked because I think people feel like they're in a difficult situation. Let's push through, get to the other side and continue on. The reflection and reflective nature of that, that is genius. You are amazing. Dr. Clancy, thank you so much for joining us on Shadow Me Next today. This has just been incredible. Forensic nursing expert witness. Now I feel like I can at least intelligently speak on some of these things. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for creating the Mountaineering Mindset Academy, which is available on your website, this handbook and the soon to come guide. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Ashley, for having me. I hope your listeners and your audience have gained some nuggets and ninja tricks to continue being awesome.